Hi, my name's Michael, and welcome to Today Dreamer, a podcast and YouTube channel that examines the interplay between inner work and outer work. Through conscious conversations and practical walkthroughs, we'll be exploring ideas and practices to help you find a deeper sense of clarity, develop your focus, and take meaningful action. I hope you love the show. Welcome back to the Today Dreamer podcast. I really appreciate your presence. Today we're going to be talking about allowing your life to unfold and not being too kind of hung up on any specific outcome, accepting the beauty of everything as it is, the perfect imperfection of things. We're also going to be discussing sound healing. I know personally I've been struggling at times with the idea that things aren't happening the way that I would like them to happen, and they're not unfolding in the time frame that I had hoped for or anticipated, and that can be quite troubling. And it's been a challenge to learn to, I'm still in this process, of course, let things go, allow things to unfold and blossom as they may, and finding the kind of middle or the center point between exerting my proactive will and taking actions while also, allowing the natural way of things to be, and going back and forth between the two. Also, I've found on my journey healing through music and sound to be a powerful tool in that process. I went through some really dark times a couple of years ago, and I found that my instrument, the handpan, which I have in common, we're both musicians with this instrument, today's guest and I. But with the handpan, I was able to kind of dive into this world of sound and immerse myself in the experience of creation, which allowed me to go through my own process and really facilitate my healing. So I'm really thankful for the power of music to do that. And today's guest is Daniele who is someone that I actually, we've been in the same circles for a while. We have the same friends, but we haven't actually crossed paths on the material or physical plane. But I got in touch with him because I saw him put up a post about living your perfect day and what that may look like. And I encourage you to have a think about this as well. What might your perfect day look like? And maybe even write it out and try living it. Because that's what he did, and that was the reason that I kind of got him on the show and it caught my attention. So we're going to be talking today about all these things, and I hope you get something out of this conversation. I do also want to quickly apologize because the sound was coming in quite loud through my headphones, and I ended up kind of screaming through the conversation because I was raising my volume to match the sound that was coming in. So it sounds a little bit ridiculous listening back to it, but I'll lower it a little bit for you guys, not to kind of damage your eardrums. And I guess it's all part of my own learning process, making these podcasts. I want to say this as well. If you're enjoying the podcast and you want to stay up to date with upcoming releases, consider subscribing, because I'm really trying to put some value into these things for you. And it will be a process of evolution where I'm going to be trying to add some creative elements into the show and make it a little bit more entertaining as well as informative. So just wanted to say that, and hopefully the yelling's not too bad. Let's get into it, and thank you again.
I think everyone go through like these phases or up and down and like feeling kind of stuck in what we're doing in life, or like pushing so hard, try to achieving things and not seeing the result like on the moment. I think as a human being, we got this stage where we want everything right now. I create something in my mind, I want something and I want it right there. I want to wake up in the morning and like see it there manifesting, rather than like, create the idea, maybe write it down and then give it time to the idea, give it space, create the space to that idea like to take shape and to manifest, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like the space is an important element, and it becomes. I feel like personally, I only realize that, something might not be working. I only realize that once I'm struggling, and that and then the idea that I need to create that space comes up. It's not something that you kind of plan for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. You don't plan. You create the space, I guess. I always believe like that everything is already there. We're not actually creating things. Everything is already in the space. We just need to open up and like let it channel it through us. So be actually ready. Making space. When I talk making space, maybe making space within us, to make a space in us, within us, to allow what we want to manifest and to come through, to channel it through us, so we can like actually like get it and then like transform it,
What
create, giving shape.
what kind of like how would you go about doing something like that though? Because I feel as though I kind of see this space as almost like a sense of stillness, a stillness that you can come back to, rest in, and then figure out or allow kind of the best next course of action to take place. Because if we're moving, taking action all the time, it can become, we could end up going further in the wrong direction than we might like. And again, that might be part of the process, but I feel like reflection's important and coming back to this sense of stillness. I wanted to know, like, what do you do to get there? Like, what personally, like, what kind of
I
practices do you use?
I mainly like my mainly practice meditation, right? Is a big part of my day. It's actually the first things that I do in my morning routine. So when I get out of the bed, I have a cold shower, and then the first things. At the moment, because it's winter time, I light up my chimney, my fireplace, and I sit there. And I could stay there for ages. Like when I'm sitting there, it's like my day is already accomplished. I don't need to go anywhere. I don't need to achieve anything. I don't need to hustle anything. Everything is already there. And then when you actually like get out of my meditation and start my day, I have that feeling of stillness, so I can go through this vortex of thoughts, of habit, of negative thoughts and positive thoughts that come and go in waves in our mind. So like with that stillness, I can navigate and trust. I guess trust is a big part. Trust through the process. Trust what I'm doing. Trust that whatever I'm doing, right or wrong, it's leading me to where I need to be at the right moment without accelerating, that willingness to be there already. I want to get there, I'll be there. It will manifest somehow if actually right now at the moment I'm present with what I'm doing. If I'm present now, whatever at the right moment, things will take shape, things will manifest. But of course, like everyone, I go up and down like everyone. I think that's our nature. It's actually without bad days, there is no good days, I believe. Like we do things doesn't work. We do other things, we learn. It's what we learn out of this experience. That's what our life is. Just a massive experience, a collection of billion of experience. And there is no right or wrong. It's just like they come and they go. I mean, it's who we are. We're not wrong at all. We are perfect. Everything is perfect around us. The Taoism like talk about, and then it's nature. We need to like work with nature. It's the way of nature, the Taoism. Work with it. Everything is perfect, even if sometimes it seems like a chaos. You go in a bush, you go in a mountain. It's not everything it's perfect. Everything is got shape. There is bush and tree and animal and dead tree and leaves and fungus, everything. But it looks chaos. In his own word, is actually perfect. So you actually have to look at things, how we try to interpret things. That one time we get corrupt. Oh, I should do this. I should do that. This one should be a bit better. I should make this one. I'm not good enough. All these like negative thoughts. Allowing them to come and then come back and find that, as you say, that place of stillness. Let them come in through us and go out. As they come in, they go out. Don't hold on them.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, man. It's almost as if you don't want to be kind of forcing a certain type of outcome. You want to kind of allow things to unfold, and doing your best in that moment, I've noticed kind of helps that happen. You do your best, but whatever happens, it's kind of everything's going to be okay and everything's the way it's meant to be, and whatever mistakes you've made or whatever struggle you're having, that's part of the process that will take you to the next point. And the whole thing is this continual kind of, like you said, process that needs to take place for whatever else is to come. I think, yeah, like we get tied up in certain amounts of time. You know, we want certain things in certain amounts of in certain ways in certain amounts of time. We also feel as though we want to kind of control the outcome, and we want certain things, and even though those things may not be the best for us, and it's a lot bigger than what we can conceive in the moment. That's kind of what I'm feeling from you, and I can really connect to that. Is there anything you do when you notice that you're caught up in this vortex that you mentioned, and things are getting a little bit kind of too much? Is there anything you do to kind of bring it back to that stillness other than that regular habit of meditating in the morning?
It's kind of like unplug it for me. And what I found another big part of my life is sport, whether it's like go for a running or exercise, go for a walk. Unplug from what I'm doing and actually plug myself in with what everything, with the universe, and just let it be. Accept what I was doing, accept the struggle, and then let it be and go back and connect with myself and go back to that place where everything is acceptable, everything is perfect as it is. There is no struggle. Going for a walk, go running, or training a lot. I do gymnastics, strength, but it can be anything. Mainly I found like release when my mind gets stuck, release through my body. Release a lot of tension through my body. Because our body holds up all the tension that our minds, our thoughts create. It all gets stuck in our body somehow. And I found for myself, release it through sport, through sweat, through lifting weights, through anything. I think everyone has got his own little way to do it, but for me, mainly it's like go for a run or do exercise.
Yeah, I think movement's definitely good, and feeling, and some, like you mentioned, cold showers before, like just snapping yourself out, coming through the body and experiencing some kind of a feeling. And movement's definitely a great way to do that. Sport, yoga, like you said. Do you ever, because I know that you're quite into music as a way to kind of come to this state as well. Can you talk to me a little bit about your relationship and kind of the way you use music almost as a therapy is kind of what I'm feeling, and I can really connect to that. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Oh, definitely. Music, it's everything for me. It's medicine. It's what makes me get up in the morning, go to sleep at night. It's always there, present in my morning. It's present in my meditation. It's present during my exercise. If I go for a run, it's present if I'm feeling good and excited. It's present if I'm feeling sad. Music is always there, and I guess it's always been for our life as a human being. In our existence, in our culture, in our tradition, it's always been there. It's always been present. So when I talk about like seen as a therapy, is actually seen as a medicine, a healing tools, and so many culture and tradition they use it, and they've been using as a tool to heal people, to go through certain emotion, through alter our state of mind, our state of consciousness, and connect with higher state of beings, with higher dimension. For example, how curanderos, shaman from the Amazon does. For them, the connection, the music is the connection to the other realm, to other spirits that allow them to heal and to help them to heal other people. When it comes to me, I see for me, music is a way of creating.
What's this tribe that you mentioned? What's the name of this tribe?
It's the curandero. It's basically the shaman in the Amazon.
I see what you're saying. And
Amazon. Yeah.
And I don't know. I read something on your Instagram kind of recently, and you mentioned it's a really interesting kind of birthing practice with where partners kind of a woman sits under a tree and listens for the song of her unborn child, and they measure the date the child is born from the moment that she finds this song or something, and then she goes and sings it to the husband, and then they sing it to kind of the leader of or the chieftain of the tribe, and then they're kind of almost singing a song to call this being into existence. I found that fascinating.
Yeah, this beautiful culture in one of the in a whole tradition in one of the tribe in Central West Africa. They say that actually before the the born of the baby, the woman when she decide or she feels she's ready to give life, before decide with his partner to having a baby or to conceive a baby, she goes outside and she sat under a tree. And in that moment, I guess, of stillness, of altered state of consciousness is where like she heard this song coming through her and she start to sing this song. And by singing this song, she's calling the spirits of her child coming to her. And that's basically the song of the child for the whole entire life. From when she born, the people, they sing the song to the child. When the child go to the stage, does to a teenager stage, they sing. When he become a man or a woman, the tribe sing the song to her. It's embracing her, giving strength. As well as when she goes one day, when she pass away and she will go. At the funeral, they will sing the song. So singing, it's all vibration, and because we are all like energy, it's all a matter of vibration. That's all we are in the world. And music is what it is. Sound before music. Sound is what it is. It's a vibration that it goes there, and it's there in the air.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful thing when that I feel like that vibration is shared. You know, like when you create or you create certain vibes and then you can kind of project that around, and you, like one way of using that is as a form of healing for others, and just being around that energy when someone's, you know, playing music or creating these vibrations can be such a special thing.
And lately, beside only like playing music, handpan, that's a common thing we actually love. And it's like learning what sound can do as a treatment, as a therapy, as a healing. Before, like a sound, see the sound as a vibration, as a frequency. So how it resonates with our body, how can entangle, how can create entrainment and actually heal our body, because healing is just a process to our body to go to like its reset mode, to go back. As we were saying before, we hold so much tension in our body and stress all go in our body, on our shoulder, on our back. So release that tension through like vibration, through sound, releasing that tension. And I found I'm discovering actually that stage of like learning and discovering what actually sound can do as a healing tool. Like going deep in all this study the science now is doing on sound therapy, on sound healing, what actually the sound can do. Sound vibration of gong, singing bowl, ancient didgeridoo that we have in Australia, crystal ball. They all like rhythm of the drum beating in the North tribe of the Native American.
Yeah, I guess
so like,
connecting with these sounds can almost, if you allow yourself to sink into the energy of it, because you know every song, every vibration has a different kind of energy pattern and a different frequency, and if we can kind of tune into that, I feel like a lot of emotions can be expressed, and things that have been kind of, I guess, pushed down, you know, over time, and maybe knots that have been kind of tangled up can be released. I've witnessed this firsthand. Like I've experienced this. So it sounds a little bit strange, I guess, if you're not familiar with it. But once you've kind of experienced this, and it does make sense at the same time, you know, like people have been talking about sound healing for quite a while, and if you look back at these traditions, these primal tribes, where a lot of people might think that in some way these primitive kind of groups of people or communities are kind of lacking, but I feel like we may have a lot to learn from them because they've been around for a very long time and they've kind of experimented with these modalities for a while.
I think it's always been there. Just in our human race, in our evolution, but we took part only in the technological side, in the technical side, sorry, of the evolution, and we forgot many other things on the side because we got caught up in technology. So we lost so many tradition and healing practice that they always been there.
I feel like it's very powerful to reconnect with these kind of things, but I also feel like it's powerful to disconnect from technology for a moment and to be able to really, come back to that again, that state of stillness without so much distraction and so much noise. Do you do that in your life at all?
In terms of
maybe like a social media fast, or maybe you don't use any screens for a week or a month, or maybe you just go back to nature and disconnect from the technology for a while.
Definitely. I try to see social media, internet, or technology as a great tool, medicine, whatever we as a human being we discover it. It's everything, it's great. It's just the modality, how we use it, that you actually then give the outcome of good or bad, if there you can call it. Because everything it's there, if we use it in the right way, I guess it's good. Like think about social media, especially in this quarantine period. It's been great. It's been connecting people, make them play music, hold events, and talk each other, stay together, sharing knowledge or sharing information about what's going on in the world. So I guess it's a great tool seen in the right way. So to go back to your question, yes, I do sometimes take like my break from social media. And it's great because it's good, like as you say, like to disconnect. And then when you go back with a clear mind and you know what you want out of a social media platform or out of your internet research. So it's always good to do the things, step back, do the work, step back. And then allow the things to appear for what actually are.
Yeah, it seems to be like a link between what we're talking about now to what we began talking about, with being able to move and then stop for a moment, step back, and then come back to the movement. Yeah, so this is interesting stuff that we're talking about. And I feel like, our paths are strangely aligned. And I feel that connection. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate that. Yeah.
Me too. Totally.
So how did you kind of get onto this path? I mean, it seems like it's hard sometimes to trace the roots of this. And you said music's been present in your whole life, from the very beginning, and it's always been here for everyone. But what about for you? Like, how did you get onto a more clearer path, I guess? Because a lot of the time, I know personally, and for a lot of other people, when we're younger, we're kind of moving through life a little bit like a zombie in a way. And there takes a series of events before we can kind of begin to sort of open up to the beauty of the moments, which it seems like you're very open to it at the moment.
I do. As we say in the beginning, we always have our up and down, bad day and good day, but I try to stay present and I try to trust the process, trust what I'm doing. And if I'm doing right in the right moment, in this moment, of course, in the future, if a future even exists, things will align in the right way. So my path with music, it's never been, I never had like a family musician. I always listened to music. Music always been present in my life, but always been like a self-taught. When it comes to instrument, I had a few mentors lately which they helped me develop my skills and where I want to go in certain with certain instrument or in certain way, and that is amazing. Having mentor, I guess, it's a beautiful thing. People will show you the way. And but lately, always I love music, and like most of the people, I wanna live, I wanna play this instrument, I wanna become a musician, I wanna be famous, all these things. And then, like, I remember once I was talking with my grandma, and when I was back in Italy, and I always say, she told me what you want to do when you're old, or like when you're an adult, when you grow up. And I say, oh, I would love to be a musician, to go around the world and play music. And then she looked at me so innocent, and she said, then tell me why the world would you need another musician? And that kind of answer, that kind of question, tricked me in that moment. I didn't know what to reply, what to say. I said, I don't know. I just like it. I will love it. I don't care if the world need or doesn't need it. I just want to do it. It makes me happy. And then, as I was saying recently, I started to discover music and sound as a treatment, as a healing, rather than just entertainment.
Mm.
It's much more. Music, the entertainment side of sound, it's music, which is like you take the sound, you give a shape, you give a pattern, and it become a music.
Mm.
But actually, then there is sound behind, like as we will say, what you can do, like how we've been using sound through history, and learn how to heal people through sound, how to work with vibration and frequency. And then, like, my kind of passion for music, I love music. It kind of shift more in the healing side of the spectrum. So to go back to my grandma and say, why the world would you need another musician? It's like, because music is good. Music heal people.
Mm.
Music give life to people, make people happy, make people release tension, release everything.
Mm.
But music is medicine. That's how I came across and feel like right now I'm in the moment where I really know what I would like to do with music or with sound. So even though I'm not the greatest musician, I'm not famous, but like what I do is aligned with what I believe, is aligned with my value, is aligned with my goals, is aligned to have it in my daily life, in my daily practice. So I do believe it in what I do. And when I believe it, I trust the process. And by trusting it, I allow it to happen, and it's already there.
Mm.
And it can't be wrong. Doesn't matter what the outcome will be. If I trust and I do with the whole myself, and I believe in it because it's in line with who I am, then it means to me I'm in the right path.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Definitely makes sense to me. And I think that's kind of that's the point that I always seem to come back to. If does it feel right? Does this feel inside you in your deeper knowing? Does it feel like you're doing the right thing and moving? You might not be certain exactly where you're going. You might not have the clearest picture, and that's probably better that you don't. As long as you kind of heading in the right direction and you're following your feeling rather than these other kind of forms of deciding whether something's right or wrong, that's usually more intellectual. And I feel as though our bodies and our minds have a system of telling us whether or not things feel right. That's why you have these gut feelings, or you have these kind of heart feelings, or this intuition. And a lot of the time we're stuck in our kind of minds, and we're trying to think of the most rational way to proceed with things. And if we have a problem, we're trying to really work it out and think of the cleverest way to proceed. But nearly all of the time, I'd probably say all of the time, our bodies and our feeling knows better. And if we can learn to connect with that, and this is something I'm slowly exploring and discovering myself, is going in the direction of the feeling, even if it might be kind of opposite to what my mind's saying. And I'm seeing things unravel in a beautiful way that would never happen otherwise. It's very unexpected. And that's kind of, I guess, the process of moving into uncertainty with faith and with how you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, learning to listen to our body, to listen to our heart,
Mm.
and learning to understand what's right for us. and not right for our monkey mind that has
Mm.
been telling us, oh, that's right, you should do this because then you can get that, and then we lose connection, as you were saying. Actually, like connect to our feeling, to our intuition, and trust that somehow it's the right path.
Like you said, it's always the right path, right?
Exactly, correct. That's the right path. If you actually get connected, we always ended up on the right spot, on the right path. What's actually good to us.
Mm. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to end up making some mistakes, and you're going to figure out what you've done, and that's going to help you in the next step of the journey and tackle the next storm, and you'll be able to proceed better. So there's really, you just do the best you can and trust that everything will unfold, and that's it. That totally makes sense. Yeah.
It can be a mistake only if we don't learn from it. But once you learn, it can't be anymore. Call it a mistake because you will learn it from it. So worst case scenario, I did something that wasn't the right choice. I learned from it, so I know how to do it again now in the right way. So it was just a step to go through in order to get in the right point.
It seems like an important step as well, right?
Oh yeah, it's not only a highway. Life is not only a highway, There is so many curves and straight to take and broken path. Sometimes we broke down, we get fix it, and we keep going and we're learning. That's beauty. That's being alive. That's what it means, being alive. We breathe, we are alive.
I feel something's coming to me, and someone mentioned this once. It was, I don't know where I watched it or heard it or something, because I watch and listen to a lot of stuff as well, and I'm obviously trying to balance, how much of that is a distraction and how much of that is actually, a great way to take in and absorb new knowledge. Someone said once that it's kind of like roots of a tree, and I love this analogy. It's kind of like the roots of a tree going in different directions and looking for the way, and then they stop, they realize, this isn't the way, so the other roots go in different directions, and it keeps coming back to the tree. And then, after everything, doesn't matter how many wrong directions you've been in, the more that you have, you're strengthening your foothold on what's going on. And this will allow this kind of beautiful tree to form, and then the leaves will come out, and doesn't matter how much the wind blows, you're kind of solid from that point.
Solid from your root point, yeah, definitely.
Unless you've done that, the tree's going to fall over, and then, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting way of looking at it. So tell me about your instruments that you have at the moment. You've got this Ngoni, I don't know how to pronounce it, this African harp.
I have two handpan.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have one Ngoni, Ngoni. Ngoni is an old traditional music instrument from West Africa, mainly from Mali or Burkina Faso.
How did you find this instrument? Because I've been looking for one actually, and I can't find where to get them from, and they sound beautiful.
Yeah, they are amazing, man. Even there, they're using over there. They're using as a tradition, in ritual, in funeral. So there are different pattern of ritual that they play during funeral or during weddings or during a birth, when someone giving birth. So like how I came across it, I always love it. And I've got one auntie. She live in Togo. Togo is a little country close to Burkina Faso in West Africa. She's been there for over 20 years.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, she built up a children's hospital there. So I see her like once every 3-4 years, maybe like for 3-4 hours when she stopped eating. She just gave up everything. She went there, talking about when you know what you're doing, man. Talking about when you actually, she knows what she always knew it. Some people, they always knew it. It's just one thing and they go for it. It's incredible. So she lived there, she built up, and I remember last year I sent her a text. I was talking and I sent her a text and I sent a picture of the Ngoni. I say, if you ever gonna come in Italy and you come across, I know this instrument is from Burkina Faso and you usually go there to visit children. I would love if you can send it one to me. It was just out of nowhere. I would never expect it, you know, like, I don't want to say, yes, I'll do that. That was her answer. That's it. She say, okay, I'll do that next time I come to Italy. And then last summer in Europe, she came over. Unfortunately, I couldn't meet her, but she came over and she bought it. From Burkina Faso, she traveled to Paris. From Paris, she traveled to Italy with that instrument. Now, I don't know how she did, because the instrument, it's made of like leather, animal leather, and the other part, animal leather and skin. So animal, it's not really easy to make it go through certain custom. And as well as a big instrument, that she couldn't wrap it where she was or everything.
Probably fragile as well, yeah?
It's really fragile. So she ended up carrying it in the cabin with her. And because she's a nun, I don't know how she did. I don't know. She must have just walked on top of the airplane with this instrument that she's like a little nun, tall, like, I don't know, 160 centimeters, 150 centimeters, with this huge instrument and walking like this. And the hostess from the aircraft, they must have thought, where are you going? And say, I need to bring this to my niece. And the captain from the airplane said, sorry, you're not allowed to bring it in the cabin, but I'm going to carry it with me in the pilot cabin. So
that's crazy. Sounds like
yes,
this instrument was meant to kind of find its way into your hands
yes.
and to
I love it.
to be with you.
I
Yeah.
love it. I'm really exploring and discover it, because it's a tradition, it's a oral tradition. So like, it's just teach by voice through generation. So there is nothing being written or to learn about, to study how to play.
You got to figure it out yourself, kind of thing.
You got to figure it out. You're gonna have like someone who teach you by oral, like by talking, telling you how to. So there is nothing being written about it, like a manual or whatever. So I'm still exploring. It's amazing. And then lately, I got a gong, a pasty gong. And then when I actually start to understand what actually vibration is, you know, start to like feel it. You actually can see the vibration. You can feel it on your hands. And when it hit your body, you can feel it start to shifting. It start like to resonate with the frequency of your body. You feel those frequencies just hitting you, and like you are not seeing it. I can't see the frequency coming, but I can feel it. I can't feel it then. I can feel them. So that's where, you know, I actually like took something in my mind. It's like, it doesn't matter if you don't hear it. If you don't hear it, doesn't mean it's not there. If you can't hear something, it doesn't mean it's not here, because it's not there. Because as a human being, we are not able. We have a threshold. We can hear from like 20 hertz until like 16,000, 20,000, depending on our age. So we can't hear certain things, but because we don't hear them, it doesn't mean it's not there. So that's why some people are really skeptical when they talk about like sound healing. How can a sound treat me? How can a sound heal me? How can the vibration treat me? I'm not vibration, because we can't see them, we can't hear them, so we say they don't exist.
It's like what you said, there's been some studies done. I saw a couple of videos actually of these people playing with frequencies, and they have people in a room, they find what frequency their body kind of reacts to, and then they play them these frequencies, and people feel amazing afterwards. But I've noticed that same thing, you know, with a singing bowl. You hit a singing bowl, it rings out, and then it gets to a point where it crosses that threshold. You don't hear it anymore, but it's still ringing. There's still a vibration being created.
And that vibration is still healing you. It's still entirely with their own vibration of our own body. It's amazing. I don't know if you heard about binaural beat.
Binaural beats, yeah.
It's amazing, because it's actually the principle of entrainment. The principle of entrainment is like when they discover they actually, if you take two frequencies, like two pendulum, that they go at two different speeds, after a set amount of time, those pendulums that will start going at the same speed. So they will be emanate the same frequency.
They match up. And I think that this
So it means the one frequency will slow down and the other one will rise up until they are on the same frequency. And that's the entrainment. So what they do, it's basically they take the two frequency and they meet in the beginning. That's when they say that like one frequency that they meet with our body is actually the frequency of a gong, a deep frequency of a gong or a singing bowl or a didgeridoo that it can bring over like on a theta state where we actually we meditate or deep sleep state. So met those frequencies with our body, so it can entangle and they meet in the middle. So that's where we feel that state of like calmness, of meditation state.
And how does that? Do you know any more detail on how that brings about healing in the body? Like any of the effects into that? Have you dived into the mechanics of how that works?
Yeah, it's basically, if you think about it, it's like different type of brainwave. For example, there's theta, alpha, gamma, beta, delta. So let's say delta is where we actually really like excited or like we are stressed. So our brainwave is really fast. It oscillates like really fast. So how do you do to calm down? Can you hear me, bro?
I can hear you, but we're good. We're back.
So like what it basically does, if you put on that level, you're on a theta state, which your brainwave is really agitated, it's really fast, you can't come down. But then on the other side, you have a really low frequency. So what it will do, that we actually will meet. They will vibrate each other until finally they will meet at one point. So let's say if you have how they create binaural beat is basically they give you one brain frequency on one coming off your left here, then it goes, let's say 10 hertz, and then on the other one they give you another one that they go to 14. So it's actually different. So but after a while, what our brain will hear is one frequency at 4, which is the difference of the two brainwaves. It's the difference of the two generators of the wave, the waves that we emanate. If one is 10 and the other one is 14, we will hear one at 4.
And those brain waves will bring us into a state of rest and rejuvenation.
And it depends between which frequency our brain wave is. If it's theta, gamma, theta, alpha, delta, it will bring us in that state.
And from there, we can begin to release tension and
relax our body, our muscle relax. We don't have any more tension. We feel calm. We feel at peace.
That sounds wonderful. We'll definitely have to get together sometime and play some music together. I feel as though that could be a healing experience, actually, and sharing that kind of that collaborative space.
Anytime and you can play around with it.
Yeah, that sounds great, man. That sounds great. I'm looking into getting some more of those kind of instruments myself. I've been playing the handpan at retirement villages and playing around with the idea of music therapy myself, and I've got a couple of things, but I haven't really invested in it just yet. But I'm very interested in it, and I feel as though there's some lot of things that there's a lot of space to be creative in that area that's unexplored, and these traditional instruments, like you said, there's not even a manual written about this African tribal instrument. So there's a lot to kind of play and explore, and just even just sitting, in nature and playing on my own, it comes back to that idea of feeling right. It feels really right, playing to the trees and playing to the mountains and just for no other reason, just to create something, Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely looking forward for it, bro. To jam a little bit together.
Yeah, it'll be fun. What scales are your handpans?
My handpans I've got one, it's a F minor scale, and the other one it's a E harmonic minor.
E minor. Yeah. Yeah, cool.
And F minor. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, we'll tee something up. We'll tee something up for sure.
Cool.
I appreciate you coming and having a chat with me today, man. Again, I
Thanks
really
for-
do.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I love
Thank you so much for tuning into this conversation with Daniele and I. You can check out his Instagram at Greco, Greco, Daniele, Danielep. So Greco Daniele P. You can check out his Instagram, and it's amazing. He's got some really cool shots up there, and he's playing around with his handpan in some of the videos, and the messages behind his posts are really kind of meaningful, and they're cool. So do check out his Instagram if you're on that social platform, and feel free to check out. I'm not sure if you're listening to this or if you're watching it, but if you're listening to it, feel free to check out the YouTube channel, and if you're watching it, then just know that there's an audio only version available of the podcast. I hope you're getting something valuable out of this content. Moving forward, as I said earlier, I'm going to try to add some more creative elements into the show, and I'm excited to share these ideas with you and see how you react and how you feel about them. I want to make the show as entertaining as possible, but while still providing value to you guys and learning in the process myself on how I could do things better. So let me know if you have any feedback, and I'll catch you in the next episode.